Ladies, I want you to listen closely. Life has a way of testing us. There are moments when people around us, people we once trusted, try to dim our light, to steal our peace, to take what God has meant for us. And too often, these people are narcissists, masters of deception, manipulators of truth. They wear masks so convincing they can make you question yourself. But hear me clearly tonight, God is bigger. God is stronger. And when he fights for you, no force on earth can stand in his way. You see, the battle is not yours alone. There are moments when the narcissist seems untouchable, untamed, unstoppable, but God steps in. And when he does, he exposes the lies. He uncovers the hidden agendas. He strengthens the weak places inside you that you didn't even know needed strength. He doesn't just fight for you. He fights through you. So I want every woman listening today to know your worth is not determined by their opinion. Your life is not defined by their manipulation. You are a child of God, and the power of the Almighty is on your side. The same God who calmed storms, who parted seas, who stood with the oppressed, he stands with you. And he will bring justice in ways that no human hand can ever achieve. The narcissist thrives on control, on fear, on intimidation. But God is the ultimate liberator. He dismantles the strongholds that seem permanent. He restores what was taken. And when he fights for you, there is nothing left to fear. So rise, stand tall, speak your truth, walk in freedom, and watch as the power of God works in your life in ways you could never imagine. Your journey may not be easy. You may face doubt, pain, and betrayal, but God's strength is perfected in your weakness. And when the smoke clears, when the battle is over, you will see the victory that was already yours, because God never loses. So trust him. Follow him. Let him fight the fight while you focus on becoming the woman you were always meant to be. Because when God fights the narcissist for you, the victory is complete, undeniable, and eternal. I want you to really hear me on this. Before God steps in, before the victory is revealed, there's a reality that every woman facing a narcissist must confront. It's not pretty, it's not easy, and it will make you feel like you are walking through fire. Narcissists, they don't just hurt people casually. No, they carefully craft an illusion of control. They make you doubt yourself, question your instincts, twist the truth until it bends like a shadow in the night. They feed on fear, uncertainty, confusion. And the most dangerous part is they make it look normal. You start thinking, maybe I am overreacting. Maybe I am too sensitive. But that is exactly what they want. I need you to understand something. This is not about you being weak. This is not about you doing something wrong. The control the narcissist seeks is about power. It's about dominance. It's about taking something that was never theirs to take in the first place: your peace, your confidence, your sense of worth. And they do it with such skill, with such cunning, that you often can't see it coming. They isolate you. They manipulate your emotions. They make you question reality itself. One moment you feel cherished, and the next you feel completely unseen, like you're standing alone in a room with no doors. But let me tell you, there is clarity in naming the enemy. There is freedom in understanding the battle. A narcissist thrives on secrecy, on hiding the truth in plain sight. They rely on silence, on your hesitation to speak, on your hope that things will change. And here's the critical truth every woman must hear: it will not change on its own. You can't negotiate with it. You can't reason with it. You can't force them to love you or respect you, because their love is conditional, their respect is performative, and their loyalty is a lie. And yet you are stronger than you realize. The first step in breaking free, the first step in claiming your life, is recognizing this reality. Look closely at the patterns, not the promises. Pay attention to the way they twist words, the way they dismiss your feelings, the way they gaslight you into believing that your perspective is the problem. These are not minor flaws. These are weapons. And you must name them for what they are. I want every woman listening to picture this: a garden. Your life is like a beautiful garden. You plant seeds of hope, of joy, of dreams, of love. But a narcissist comes into that garden, and they start pulling up the roots, crushing the flowers, trampling the pathways. They leave destruction behind and make you feel guilty for the mess. That is the reality of narcissistic control. But remember, a garden does not die because one storm passes through. It heals, it grows, it flourishes, but only when you acknowledge the storm and protect your soil. You've got to see it for what it is, because recognition is the beginning of resistance. The moment you name it, the moment you say, I see what you're doing and I refuse to let it define me, that is where the power starts to shift. You stop blaming yourself for their manipulation. You stop shrinking for their comfort. You stop making excuses for behavior that is meant to hurt you. And let me tell you, when you reach that point, God can move. He can step in, not as a distant observer, but as the one who fights on your behalf. Now, I want you to take a moment and reflect. Think about a time when someone tried to control you, made you question your worth, or silenced your voice. Hold that moment in your mind. And now, I want you to say this quietly, or shout it if you need to: this does not define me. I am not what they say. I am not what they want me to believe. God fights for me. Feel the power of those words. Let them sink in. Let them ignite something in you that says, no matter how skilled the narcissist is at control, there is a higher power at work in your life that is unstoppable, unshakable, unwavering. So the reality is harsh, but it is also the first step toward freedom. Recognize the control. Name it, face it. And then watch as God begins to dismantle it in ways you could never imagine. Because when you understand the tactics, when you refuse to be deceived, the battlefield is no longer theirs. It becomes the stage for your victory. Now, I want every woman here to engage with me. Raise your hand if you've ever felt trapped, silenced, or controlled. Hold that hand up and feel the strength in your fingers. Feel the courage in your arms. And say it with me. I will not be controlled. God fights for me. Say it again, louder this time until you feel it in your bones. That is the power of recognition. That is the beginning of liberation. And that is how the story begins. Now listen to me, because this is where the story takes a turn. After you recognize the control, after you see the tactics for what they are, you begin to understand a truth that changes everything that's not yours alone. You are not standing there, cornered, helpless, wondering if anyone sees your struggle. No. There is a power greater than fear, greater than manipulation, greater than any human hand. God is the ultimate defender. And when I say that, I mean it. I mean it in your bones. I mean it in the moments when the narcissist thinks they have you trapped, when they believe their lies have silenced your voice, when you feel the weight of their control pressing down on you. That is the exact moment God steps in. Not tomorrow, not someday, but here. Now, even in the middle of your darkest hour, He fights for you. And when God fights no one, I mean no one can stand against Him. You see, the narcissist thrives on the illusion that they are untouchable, that their power is absolute. They want you to feel alone, to feel abandoned, to feel small. But here is the truth: when God is on your side, there is no battle too big, no strategy too cunning, no lie too convincing. He sees everything. He knows every word spoken in secret, every plan laid in the shadows, every attempt to destroy your peace. And He does not wait for your permission to act. He steps in with authority, with strength, with a wisdom that cannot be outmaneuvered. Think about that for a moment. There's a way to those words. God fights for you. He fights for the moments when you feel unheard. He fights for the moments when your heart is heavy, when your spirit is tired, when you think the world has turned against you. And He does it not just to defend you from harm, but to restore you, to lift you, to bring you back to the fullness of the life He intended for you. I want you to imagine a courtroom. You're the defendant, accused by a master manipulator who twists the truth at every turn. The evidence is stacked against you, or so it seems. But then the ultimate lawyer steps in. The one whose wisdom is infinite, whose understanding is complete, whose heart is on fire for justice. That's God. He doesn't just present a case, He obliterates the lies. He brings the truth to light in a way that no human mind could fabricate. And suddenly the courtroom changes. Suddenly the narrative changes. Suddenly the power of the narcissist begins to crumble. And here's the part that hits hard: it's not passive. God doesn't fight while you sit idly by. He fights as you walk forward. He fights as you reclaim your voice. He fights as you set boundaries. He fights as you refuse to apologize for your feelings, for your worth, for your dignity. He fights alongside your courage, amplifying it, multiplying it, making it unstoppable. Now, I want you to feel this. I want you to let it sink in. Every time you've doubted yourself, every time you've questioned if you have the strength to face the lies, every time you've wondered if anyone cares or notices, God is there. And not just watching, not just wishing, but actively defending, protecting, and preparing the way for your victory. The narcissist may plan, they may scheme, they may try to intimidate, but God's power is greater than their manipulation, greater than their cunning, greater than their desire to control. I want you to take a moment and picture this. You're standing in the middle of a storm, the wind tearing at your clothes, the rain soaking you to the bone, and the world around you seems to be falling apart. And then you feel it, the presence of God unwavering, steady, unshakable. You realize the storm is not there to destroy you. The storm is there to show you who fights for you. You are not alone, you are not powerless, you are not forgotten. So, I want every woman listening right now to engage with me. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes if you need to, and say quietly or say it boldly: God fights for me. I am not alone. I am defended. I am protected. Say it again, louder this time, until you feel it vibrating in your chest, in your shoulders, in your heart. That is not just a statement. That is a declaration of truth. That is the power that begins to shift the battlefield in your favor. Because when God fights for you, you don't just survive, you rise. You don't just endure, you thrive. You don't just reclaim what was taken, you surpass it, stronger, wiser, and more courageous than you've ever been. And always remember this: the ultimate defender doesn't sleep, doesn't falter, doesn't compromise. His allegiance is absolute, his purpose is unwavering, and his power is limitless. Trust him, follow him. Let him fight the fight while you stand firm in your God-given strength. Now listen to me carefully, because this is where the battle becomes unmistakably clear. You see, narcissists live in a world of deception. They hide behind smiles, behind sweet words, behind promises that never materialize. Their power is built on lies, on illusions, on twisting reality until you begin to doubt your own eyes, your own ears, your own heart. And that's the insidious part. They make you question everything about yourself. You start wondering, am I too sensitive? Am I imagining this? Is it really that bad? And in those moments, it feels like the world has turned against you, like no one could possibly see what's happening. But here's the truth, and I want you to feel it deep in your bones. God sees. God knows. God understands. Nothing escapes him. No lie goes unnoticed. No scheme goes undetected. And when you invite him into that chaos, when you trust in his timing, he exposes the lies in ways that no human effort could ever achieve. He pulls back the veil. He shines the light of truth on every hidden corner, every deceitful intention, every manipulation meant to confuse or control you. And when that light hits, the darkness cannot hide. I want you to imagine it. Picture the narcissist, confident, certain, convinced that their secrets, their manipulations, their control will remain hidden forever. And then God intervenes, slowly at first, maybe imperceptibly, but then with undeniable clarity. The lies unravel, the truth emerges. The manipulations are revealed for exactly what they are: empty, hollow, powerless. And you see them finally clearly as they truly are, not as they've convinced you they are, but as they have always been. And this is crucial, ladies. God's intervention doesn't just expose the lies to you. It exposes them to the world in ways that protect you and liberate you. He works through circumstances, through people, through events that seem ordinary at first, but when they unfold, they reveal the deception in ways that cannot be ignored. He restores your clarity. He restores your confidence. He restores your sense of reality, which the narcissist tried so hard to steal. And that restoration is powerful. It is life-changing. It is a turning point. I want every woman listening to picture this. You've been carrying a heavy weight for months, years even. The weight of their words, their accusations, their control. And suddenly the truth comes into your life. A conversation, a revelation, an insight that illuminates everything you've been doubting. It's as if the fog has lifted, as if a light has been turned on in a dark room. And you finally see the patterns, the tactics, the lies for exactly what they are. That moment, that clarity is God's intervention at work. That moment is your freedom beginning to take shape. And here's the thing, exposing the lies is not about revenge. It's not about proving them wrong. It's about reclaiming your life, your peace, your voice. It's about stepping out of their shadow and into the light of your truth. God doesn't expose the lies to humiliate you or the narcissist. He exposes them so that you can walk unshaken, unbroken, and unapologetically free. He does it so that you can rebuild your life on a foundation that is solid, not shaken by manipulation or deceit. I want you to take a moment and think about one situation in your life where you felt deceived, where you felt manipulated, where the truth was hidden from you. Hold that in your heart. And now imagine God stepping in. Imagine the lies being revealed, the confusion being cleared, the truth shining through like the sun breaking through storm clouds. Can you feel that? Can you sense that clarity? That is your moment of awakening. That is your moment of liberation. That is when you begin to see the battle differently and you begin to realize that you are not powerless. Now, I want every woman listening to engage with me. Place your hand over your heart and repeat quietly, or shout it if you need to. The truth will set me free. God exposes every lie. I see clearly now. Say it again louder until you feel it vibrating through your chest, through your soul. Let that truth sink in. Let it fill the spaces that were once occupied by doubt, confusion, and fear. That is the power of divine intervention. That is the power that begins to dismantle the control of the narcissist. That is the power that restores your voice, your vision, and your life. Because when God exposes the lies, He doesn't just reveal deception. He restores your perspective. He restores your trust in yourself. He restores your faith that you are seen, heard, and valued. And when that happens, the narcissist loses the one thing they were relying on: your uncertainty, your hesitation, your fear. That is when the battle truly begins to shift in your favor. So stand tall, step forward, speak your truth, and trust that God is revealing every lie, every manipulation, every shadow of deception, and turning it all into clarity, strength, and freedom. I want you to hear me clearly, because this is a moment that changes everything. After the lies are exposed, after the darkness begins to lift, there's a realization that has to take root. And that realization is this: your worth is not defined by the opinions of others. It is not determined by the manipulation, the control, or the deceit of anyone who has tried to dim your light. Your value is inherent. Your dignity is sacred. And no one, no matter how cunning or charming, has the power to take that away from you unless you allow it. Too often, women are made to feel small, insignificant, like their voice doesn't matter, like their feelings are too much, too weak, or too inconvenient. And the narcissist counts on that. They feed on your self-doubt. They thrive when you question yourself. They hope you forget who you are and begin to measure your worth by how they treat you. But here's the truth: you are not a reflection of their approval. You are not a prize to be earned or a game to be played. You are a human being made with purpose, with beauty, with value that cannot be erased. I want every woman listening to close your eyes for a moment and feel that. Feel the truth of it deep in your heart. There is nothing you need to do to prove your worth. There is nothing you need to say, no action you need to take, no perfection you need to achieve. You are enough. You were enough yesterday, you are enough today, and you will be enough tomorrow. That is not arrogance. That is not pride. That is recognition of the truth that God placed in you from the very beginning. And here's something even more powerful. When you recognize your worth, something shifts. Your eyes open to the subtle ways that narcissists try to undermine you. Your ears begin to hear the manipulation, the gaslighting, the control. And you stop accepting it. You stop excusing it. You stop tolerating it. You begin to set boundaries, not out of anger, not out of revenge, but out of respect for yourself. Because when you value yourself, you demand respect, and you deserve nothing less. I want you to think about the moments when you've said yes to things that hurt you, when you've tolerated behavior that diminished you, when you've silenced yourself to keep the peace. Now imagine seeing that through the lens of your worth. Imagine saying to yourself, I am worthy of love that lifts me, of respect that honors me, of peace that restores me. That is not just a thought, that is a declaration. That is the moment you begin to reclaim control over your life. That is when the narcissist's power begins to crumble, because their influence relies entirely on your belief that you are small, that you are less, that you are inadequate. And I want you to feel this in your body, in your soul, in your very being. The power of knowing your worth is revolutionary. It changes the way you speak. It changes the way you walk. It changes the way you let people into your life. It changes the way you refuse to settle for anything less than what God has intended for you. It is the foundation of your liberation, the fuel for your courage, the anchor that holds you steady in the storm. So I want every woman listening to engage with me. Place your hand on your heart, and I want you to say quietly at first, I am worthy. I am value. I am enough. Now say it louder. Say it like you mean it. Say it until you feel the power of those words vibrating through your chest, through your spine, through every part of you that has been silenced, doubted, or diminished. This is not just affirmation. It is awakening. This is not just encouragement. It is your freedom being claimed. Because when you recognize your worth, you stop allowing others to define your reality. You stop giving power to those who seek to control you. You begin to live in alignment with who you truly are, in alignment with God's vision for your life. And that is when true transformation begins. That is when you begin to walk boldly, unapologetically, and courageously. That is when the narcissist influence loses its grip, because it is powerless against a woman who knows her value and refuses to compromise it. So, rise up, stand tall, speak your truth. Set boundaries, protect your peace, and never forget, no matter what anyone else tries to tell you, no matter what manipulation or deceit comes your way, your worth is unshakable. Your dignity is undeniable. Your value is eternal. And when you live in that truth, you are unstoppable. Now, I want you to really lean in, because this is where everything changes. Once you've recognized the control, once you've seen the lies for what they are, once you've embraced your worth, there is a moment, a turning point, that only faith can unlock. And I'm not talking about some abstract, distant idea. I'm talking about a deep, unshakable trust, a surrender to the one who holds all power. Because freedom, true freedom, comes not when you fight harder, not when you strategize better, but when you place your faith where it belongs, on God. You see, the narcissist thrives on fear. They want you doubting, questioning, second-guessing every choice, every feeling, every instinct. They want you trapped in a prison of your own uncertainty. But faith breaks those chains. Faith is the key that unlocks the doors they've built, the walls they've reinforced, the cages they've surrounded you with. When you choose to trust God, you step out of their control. You step into a reality that is bigger than fear, bigger than manipulation, bigger than anything a human mind could concoct. And here's the thing about faith, it's active. It's not passive waiting. It's not quiet hope. Faith is movement. Faith is standing up when the world tells you to sit down. Faith is speaking when the world tells you to be silent. Faith is walking forward when every fiber of your being wants to retreat. And as you take those steps, as you move with courage, as you trust in God's guidance, something miraculous happens. The chains loosen. The pressure eases. The lies lose their grip. The storm may still rage around you, but the center of it, your heart, your mind, your spirit, becomes unshakable. I want every woman listening to picture herself standing in the midst of a battle. On one side, the narcissist, confident, scheming, ready to strike. On the other side, the world may not understand, may not see, may not care. And in the middle, you feeling vulnerable, feeling small, feeling exhausted. And then you lift your eyes and you see him, God, the one who fights for the powerless, the one who stands with the oppressed, the one who has never lost a battle. And in that moment, you take a breath and you step forward with faith, not fear. And suddenly the battlefield begins to shift. Faith is what allows you to walk away from manipulation without guilt. Faith is what allows you to forgive, not for them, but for your own peace. Faith is what allows you to let go of control, knowing that the one who holds the universe also holds your life. And when you let go, when you trust, when you surrender, freedom begins to pour in. It doesn't always come quietly. It doesn't always come instantly. Sometimes it comes in small victories, a clear mind, a strong boundary, a voice that refuses to be silenced. And sometimes it comes in dramatic, undeniable ways that shock even the most hardened observers. But it always comes when faith meets action. I want you to feel that. I want you to imagine the weight you've been carrying. The fear, the doubt, the anxiety, the second guessing. And now imagine that weight lifting. Imagine your shoulders relaxing, your chest opening, your heart breathing freely for the first time in years. That is what happens when you step fully into faith. That is what happens when you let God fight your battles while you focus on living in His truth. And here's the beauty of it: freedom through faith doesn't just protect you from the narcissist. It transforms you. It strengthens you. It reshapes your character, sharpens your instincts, and fills you with courage that cannot be intimidated. You begin to recognize your own power, your own resilience, your own voice. And the world begins to see you differently, not because you've changed who you are, but because you've embraced the freedom that was always meant to be yours. Now, I want every woman listening to engage with me. Close your eyes if you need to. Take a deep breath and quietly, or boldly if you feel it, say, "I trust God. I am free. I am no longer controlled." Say it again louder. Say it until it vibrates in your bones, until it reaches every corner of your mind, until your spirit lifts. That is not just words. That is a declaration. That is faith in action. That is freedom being claimed. Because remember this: the narcissist cannot fight faith. Fear cannot withstand faith. Lies cannot overpower faith. And when you walk in faith, you step into a life where you are no longer a victim, no longer silenced, no longer bound. You are empowered, protected, and unstoppable. So rise up, step into your freedom. Let God fight for you. Trust Him. Walk boldly. Speak clearly. And never forget, freedom is not just a hope. It is your reality when you place your faith in the one who never loses. I need you to hear me, because this is one of the most powerful truths you will ever hold in your life. Strength is not always what you think it is. Strength is not just muscles or bravado or the ability to fight back. True strength is revealed in the moments when you feel weak, when you feel broken, when you feel like you have nothing left to give. And here's the miracle: it is in those moments that God's power shows up the clearest. It is in your weakness that His strength is perfected. I know what it feels like. I know the exhaustion, the doubt, the fear that creeps in when you are facing a narcissist. You feel like every step forward is a battle, like every word spoken might be twisted, like every emotion you feel might be weaponized against you. And in those moments, it is easy to think, "I can't do this. I'm not strong enough. I'll never make it through." But that is exactly where the power of God steps in. That is exactly where He shows you that your weakness is not your defeat. It is your invitation to rise. You see, God doesn't look at your weakness and shake His head. He doesn't say, "You can't handle this." No, He says, "I've got this. Lean on me. Let me show you what true strength looks like." And when you allow Him to carry the weight, when you allow Him to fight through you, something incredible happens. The very areas where you felt fragile, vulnerable, and powerless become the places where you are filled with courage, wisdom, and resilience beyond your imagination. Think about it like this: a bow cannot shoot an arrow without being bent. A bow cannot display its power without tension. And you, in your weakness, in your struggle, are being shaped, stretched, and prepared to release something powerful, something unstoppable. The tension, the trials, the pain, they are not meant to break you. They are meant to build you, to sharpen you, to reveal a strength that is anchored in God, not in circumstance, not in human approval, not in fleeting victories. I want every woman listening to feel that. Feel the moments when you thought you were too small, too broken, too powerless to stand against the lies, against the manipulation, against the control. Those moments were not signs of your failure. They were signs of God's preparation. Those moments were where He was readying you, fortifying you, equipping you with a strength that no one could ever take away. And when you step into that realization, the world begins to look different. The narcissist begins to look different. The battles you once feared begin to feel conquerable. Now, I want you to imagine standing in the middle of that storm, feeling every fear, every doubt, every exhaustion. And then I want you to imagine God placing His hand on your shoulder and whispering, "I am with you. I am your strength. You are not alone." That is the moment when weakness becomes power. That is the moment when what you once thought was your limitation becomes your greatest advantage. Because strength that is rooted in God is unstoppable. Strength that comes from Him cannot be shaken, cannot be stolen, cannot be defeated. And here's the truth every woman must hear. Your vulnerability is not a liability. It is a gateway. It is the place where God meets you, where He fights through you, where He transforms pain into purpose, fear into courage, doubt into unwavering faith. You begin to see that every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of anxiety was never wasted. It was never meaningless. It was the soil in which your strength was planted, the furnace in which your resilience was forged, the proving ground in which your courage was awakened. So I want every woman listening to engage with me. Place your hand over your heart and whisper, or shout if you need to, "God's strength is made perfect in my weakness. I am strong because He is with me. I will rise." Say it again louder. Let it fill your lungs. Let it vibrate in your chest. Let it ignite every corner of your spirit. That is not just affirmation. That is truth being realized. That is empowerment. That is freedom. Because when you embrace your weakness as the very place where God's strength manifests, nothing can stop you. The narcissist, the lies, the manipulation. They are powerless against a woman whose strength is anchored in the divine. You become unshakable. You become fearless. You become unstoppable. And that, my sisters, is the power of understanding that in your weakness, God is making you strong. So rise up, stand tall, step boldly into the life God has prepared for you. Trust Him, lean on Him, and let your weakness become the stage where His strength is revealed. Now, I want you to listen closely, because this is where you have to let go of something that has been weighing on you. As long as you are holding on to the need to punish, to make the narcissist pay, to prove them wrong, you are giving your power away. You are carrying a burden that was never meant to be yours. And here's the truth you need to hear: justice is not yours to enforce. Justice belongs to God. And when God takes over, the outcome is unstoppable, undeniable, and perfect. You see, narcissists are clever. They twist reality. They manipulate, deceive, and control. And for a time, it may feel like the world is unfair, like their actions go unchallenged, like they have the upper hand. And I know how tempting it is to take matters into your own hands, to fight, to retaliate, to try to make them see the error of their ways. But I want you to hear me: that is not your burden. That is not your responsibility. God sees. God knows. And He will act in His timing, in His way, in a manner that is far greater than anything you could orchestrate. Let me tell you something about divine justice. It is not about revenge. It is not about humiliation. It is not about proving them wrong in the eyes of the world. It is about restoration. It is about righteousness. It is about balance being returned to the life He intended for you. The narcissist may try to manipulate, lie, and control, but they cannot escape the power of a God who is just. Their schemes, their deceptions, their cruelty, all of it is visible to Him. And He will act, even when the world seems silent, even when it seems like nothing is happening, even when you wonder if justice will ever come. And here's the incredible thing: when you trust God to handle justice, you are freed. Freed from the obsession of trying to prove yourself, freed from the mental exhaustion of arguing with lies, freed from the constant vigilance that the narcissist's control demands. You can breathe. You can focus on your life, on your growth, on your peace. You can step into the future unburdened, knowing that God has not forgotten, that He has not overlooked, that He is working. I want every woman listening to picture this: the narcissist, confident, certain that they have evaded accountability. They believe the world cannot touch them. And then, in God's timing, everything is revealed. The manipulations come to light, the truth becomes undeniable, the deceit collapses. And you, the woman who has suffered, who has endured, who has remained faithful, you stand in the clarity of justice. Not because you forced it, not because you demanded it, not because you retaliated, but because God, in His perfect wisdom and power, has acted on your behalf. And here's the beauty: when justice is God's domain, it is complete. There is no bitterness, no lingering resentment, no compromise. You don't have to watch over your shoulder. You don't have to calculate every move. You don't have to worry about fairness according to human standards. You can rest knowing that the scales are balanced, the wrongs are addressed, and your life is being restored in ways that only God can orchestrate. I want you to feel that freedom. Feel the weight lifting off your shoulders. Feel the tension in your chest ease. Feel the mental exhaustion start to fade. And whisper or speak boldly if you need to: God is my justice. I will not seek revenge. He fights for me. He restores me. Say it again, louder, until you feel it in every part of your body. That is not just words. That is truth. That is liberation. That is empowerment beyond what you could imagine. Because when you allow God to be your justice, something remarkable happens. The narcissist loses their power. Not because you struck back, not because you schemed, not because you tried to manipulate the situation, but because their control cannot withstand the hand of a just God. Their lies are exposed. Their deceit is dismantled. Their influence over your life is neutralized. And you are free to walk in the fullness of your destiny, unshaken, unburdened, and victorious. So I want every woman listening to understand this clearly: you are not responsible for punishing them. You are not responsible for proving them wrong. You are not responsible for balancing the scales. That responsibility belongs to God. Your job is to trust, to stand, to walk in integrity, to live boldly, and to let Him handle what you cannot. And when you do that, you will witness a justice so profound, so complete, so undeniable that it changes everything. Stand tall. Step forward. Walk boldly in the assurance that God's justice is at work. Trust Him, release the burden, and let Him fight the battle that only He can win. Now, this is the moment I want every woman listening to feel deep in her soul. After recognizing the control, seeing the lies, embracing your worth, trusting in God's defense, stepping into freedom through faith, understanding strength and weakness, and letting justice be God's domain, there comes a point where you step forward fully, completely into victory. Walking in victory is not just a phrase, it's a way of living, a posture, a declaration, a movement of the soul that says, I will not be defined by fear. I will not be silenced. I will not be controlled. Victory begins with recognition. Recognition that the battles you have faced, the storms you have endured, the lies you have uncovered, have not been wasted. Every tear, every sleepless night, every moment of doubt has been part of the preparation, the refining, the awakening of the woman God created you to be. Victory is not simply surviving. Victory is thriving. Victory is rising above the noise, the manipulation, the deceit, and standing in the fullness of your purpose, in the light of your truth, in the confidence of God's unshakable love. I want you to picture yourself walking down a path that once seemed dark, narrow, impossible. You carried the weight of fear, the weight of manipulation, the weight of constant doubt. And now the sun begins to rise. You can feel its warmth on your skin. You can see the beauty around you that you had forgotten existed. You hear the sounds of life, laughter, peace, and hope. That path, once oppressive, is now open, illuminated, clear. And every step you take is a testament to your resilience, your courage, your faith. That is walking in victory. Victory also means freedom. Freedom from the chains of manipulation, freedom from the shadows of fear, freedom from the mental and emotional prisons the narcissist tried to place you in. Freedom is feeling the air fill your lungs without hesitation. Freedom is speaking your truth without apology. Freedom is living in alignment with your values, your dreams, your purpose. Freedom is no longer defined by someone else's agenda or lies, but by the clarity and power of your own life, anchored in God. And here's the crucial part: walking in victory is not passive. It is not sitting back and hoping things turn out well. It is active, deliberate, courageous. It is showing up for yourself every day, protecting your peace, standing for your boundaries, refusing to allow anyone to diminish you again. It is the culmination of all the work you have done: the recognition, the faith, the empowerment, the trust in justice, the embracing of your strength. All of that converges in this moment where you move forward with intentionality and purpose. I want every woman listening to feel this power. Place your hand on your heart and say quietly, I am victorious. I am free. I walk in God's light. Now say it louder. Let it echo in your chest. Let it fill your spirit. Let it remind you that the life you have been seeking, the peace you have been yearning for, the freedom you have been fighting for, is already yours. You are stepping into it right now. Walking in victory also means inspiring others. Every step you take, every boundary you enforce, every act of courage you perform is a beacon for women who are still trapped, still doubting, still hurting. Your victory is not just for you. It is for every woman who needs to see that freedom is possible, that strength is attainable, that God fights for the powerless, and that life beyond manipulation is not just a dream but a reality. So I want you to take a deep breath and visualize this: your life, fully reclaimed, fully empowered, fully yours. No manipulation can touch it. No lies can shake it. No control can bind it. You are walking boldly, unapologetically, courageously, with a heart that knows its value, a mind that knows its clarity, a spirit that knows its freedom. That is victory. That is walking in the life God intended for you. And I want every woman listening right now to engage with me. Close your eyes if you need to. Take a deep breath and say, I am free. I am victorious. I walk boldly in my truth. God fights for me. Say it again louder until it resonates in your bones, until it fills your being, until every fiber of your spirit knows it is true. That is not just affirmation. That is living reality. That is empowerment. That is liberation. That is your victory being realized in full. So rise up, stand tall, step forward with courage, speak your truth, protect your peace, and walk boldly in the knowledge that you are free, you are powerful, and you are victorious. The past is behind you. The lies are exposed. The control is broken. And the life you have been meant to live is right here, right now, waiting for you to claim it. And now, my sisters, as we stand here together, I want you to feel the full weight of what we've explored tonight. You have seen the tactics of control, the lies that seek to silence you, the ways manipulation tries to steal your peace. You have felt the power of God fighting on your behalf, exposing deception, restoring clarity, and revealing your inherent worth. You have walked through faith, embraced strength and weakness, and surrendered justice to the one who never fails. And now you stand on the threshold of victory, fully alive, fully free, fully empowered. I want you to take a deep breath and let it all settle in. Let the truth resonate through every part of your being. You are defended. You are seen. You are valued. You are unstoppable. The storms of the past do not define you. The lies do not define you. The control of another does not define you. You are a child of God, and His power, His wisdom, His love is greater than anything you have faced or will ever face. And here's the invitation: rise up. Walk boldly. Speak with confidence. Protect your peace. Trust in God's timing. Trust in His justice. Trust in His power. Let your life be a living testimony that no narcissist, no manipulation, no deceit, no fear, no human effort can ever overcome the divine plan for a woman who knows her worth and walks in her truth. I want every woman listening to engage with me right now. Close your eyes, place your hand over your heart, and repeat, I am free. I am defended. I am victorious. I walk boldly in God's power. Say it again louder until it vibrates in your soul, until you feel it in your chest, in your shoulders. In every step you take from this moment forward, that is not just affirmation. That is your life being claimed. That is your destiny being realized. That is your victory being walked out in full. And remember this: the journey may have scars. It may have moments of doubt. It may have challenges still ahead. But scars are not signs of defeat. They are proof of survival. Doubt is not weakness. It is the doorway to faith. Challenges are not obstacles. They are opportunities for God's power to shine through you. And every step you take forward in trust, in faith and courage is a step into the fullness of the life you were always meant to leave. So rise, stand, step forward, walk in freedom, walk in strength, walk in victory. Let the world see what a woman looks like when she is no longer controlled, when she is no longer silenced, when she is no longer afraid. Let them see the power of God in motion. Let them see the light of truth shining through a life restored, a spirit renewed, a heart unshakable. And always, always remember, God fights for you. You are defended. You are protected. You are victorious. And your life fully lived in that truth is the most powerful testimony the world will ever witness.